Perfect. Thank you. So welcome everyone to an online meeting of RBKC's Licensing Subcommittee, and thank you all for attending. I'm Councillor Soph McVeigh and I'll be chairing this meeting. It's being held via Microsoft Teams and it's also being streamed live. Today there are two cases before us: applications to grant shadow licenses for Saatchi Gallery and Saatchi Gallery Cafe, both at 100 Duke of York Square, London, SW3. Whilst both applications will be heard at the same time, the committee will make separate decisions. The committee today comprises of Councillor Janet Evans and Councillor Dory Schmetterling. Could you please introduce yourself and also declare any declarations of interests? Dory.
Hello. Oh yes, I am on. Hello, this is Dory Schmetterling. I'm councillor for Pembridge Ward, as it happens, just north of Donegal Gate, and I have no interests to declare in this matter.
Thank you. Janet?
Good morning, Chair. I'm Councillor Janet Evans, councillor for Courtfield Ward, and I have nothing to declare. Thank you.
Thank you. And I am a councillor for Brompton and Handstown, and I have nothing to declare. I mean, I do know the Saatchi Gallery. I have been to events there, but I do have no declaration of interest. And as I may lose connection, the quorum for this committee is 2, so I'd like to elect a substitute chair. I'd like to nominate Councillor Schmetterling. Councillor Evans, is that okay? Do you second that?
I do.
Great, thank you. So that's agreed. And a few ground rules: please keep your microphones on mute unless you're invited to speak, and up to you if you want to keep your cameras on or off. And please make sure your phones are on silent. And just to remind everyone that the chat function is not monitored, so please don't use it. And also, in addition, this is a public meeting and the chat would not be seen in the live stream. So everyone should have the procedure for the meeting regarding the use of cameras and how to connect back in. And we're joined remotely by our committee officer, Gareth Ebenezer, and also we have Esme Shari and Yasmin Jama helping us today. Thank you. I'll briefly run through the procedure, and please can you confirm that you're actually here when I get to you? Thanks. So first of all, we'll have the licensing officers. We'll give a brief outline of the application. Is it, who is doing it today? Is it Ms Johnson or Ms McGowan?
Good morning, Chair. It'll be myself, Fiona Johnson. Thank
you, Ms Johnson. Fantastic. And then we'll ask the applicant's legal advisor, Mr James Rankin, to present his submission for up to 10 minutes. And I understand, Mr Rankin, you're joined by Mr Medway, your client, and also your solicitor, Mr Malin. Is that correct? Can you please confirm you're here?
I can confirm that all three of us are present.
Fantastic. Thank you. And then questions will be asked by the applicants to the applicants by members of the committee and then the objectors. But as we have no objectors, unless Ms Denning joins, we will try to, as committee members, put forward the objectors' case on their behalf. Normally we'll then go to the objectors to present their case, and then we would then ask our legal officer, Ms Lemire-Zurier, to confirm any conditions, any questions you may have. Can you confirm you're here, please?
Present, Chair.
Fantastic. And then we would go to the governance team and the licensing officers just to loop back in to check that we haven't missed anything and any issues have been raised. And there'll be no summing up and the meeting would end. And I believe we have Yasmin controlling the screen, which is fantastic. So again, if you want to draw attention to any of the pages in the committee pack, please just ask and we can get them on the screen in front of us. And just to remind all parties that obviously we have read all the papers, so there's no need to repeat your submissions, but please draw us to any relevant points. Fantastic. Thank you. And a summary decision will be sent to the parties within 5 working days of today's hearing. We won't announce it today. So thank you. Let's get going. Ms Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. We have before us today 2 applications for the grant of a premises licence in the form of shadow premises licences. Both applications have been submitted by Cadogan Estates Limited. The first application is for Gallery Cafe, 100 Duke of York Square, SW3 4LY. The premises currently benefits from a premises licence which permits the playing of recorded music indoors from 8 AM until midnight, provision of late night refreshment indoors 11 PM until midnight, and also the sale by retail of alcohol on the premises from 8 AM until 11:30 PM. A copy of the current licence can be found at Appendix A of the report. One representation has been received opposing the application for the Gallery Cafe. A summary of this representation can be found on pages 3 to 4, with copies attached at Appendix D on page 28. Council records indicate that the premises received no complaints over the preceding 24 months. Council records also indicate that no temporary event notices has been submitted in respect of this premises in the preceding 24 months. I believe the report relating to Gallery Cafe actually refers to 12 months, but it has in fact been 24 months, just to clarify that. The second application is for Saatchi Gallery, also at 100 Duke of York Square, SW3 4LY. The premises currently benefits from a premises licence which permits the sale of alcohol on the premises, performance of a play indoors, exhibition of a film indoors, performance of live music indoors, playing of recorded music indoors, performance of dance indoors, entertainment similar to music and dance indoors, and all of those activities are authorised from Monday to Saturday, 10 AM to 10 PM, and on Sundays, 10 AM to 8 o'clock PM. The premises licence also permits the provision of late night refreshment indoors, and that's from Monday to Saturday, 11 o'clock to midnight. The licence also allows for a non-standard timing for the sale of alcohol to be extended onto 11:30 PM, up to a maximum of 49 occasions per year, on no more than 2 occasions per week. A copy of this licence can be found at Appendix A of the report. 2 representations have been received which oppose this application. A summary of these representations can be found on page 4 of the report, with copies attached at Appendix D on pages 40 to 41. Council records also indicate that the premises received no complaints over the preceding 24 months, and council records also indicate that no temporary event notices have been submitted in respect of this premises in the preceding 24 months. That concludes the summary of today's applications. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms Johnson. That's very informative. So now we're going to turn to Mr James Rankin, please, for the applicant. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam. I'm going to take this, I hope, at speed. The Saatchi Gallery is something now of an institution, installed as it was in 2008 in the King's Road. You've been to visit it. It's been variously described as one of the most beautiful art spaces in London. Cadogan Estates, whom I represent, are the landlords, and the 2 operators of the premises licence are Marchville Investments, who run the gallery, that's on the basement, the ground, and the 2nd floor, and then Circe's, who run the cafe. And you are no stranger to applications for shadow licenses, which is what this is. It's an application by the landlord as, if you like, an insurance policy in the unlikely event that the 2 operators of the gallery and the cafe go into liquidation. The licenses that have been applied for are exactly the same as the existing licenses and permissions, the same hours, the same conditions. They are identical in shape and form to the existing licenses. And the grant of these licenses will not impact in any shape or form on the residents. Often, in cases of shadow licenses, residents who don't quite understand the background behind these sorts of applications envisage that something new is going to be happening at the premises, where in actual fact it's not. This is perhaps a case in point. There are concerns raised by Mrs. Denning and Mrs. Afia. I'm going to deal with these 2 applications as one. Mrs. Denning and Mrs. Afia raised concerns in the main about the delivery of equipment for exhibitions. I pause there. I could make the point that they're not relevant representations because they don't essentially relate to the licensable activities that currently take place at the premises. You can't run a gallery without having delivery of the artworks for the gallery. But I'm not going to make that point. Cadogan Estates are a conscientious landlord, and these concerns are obviously concerns that have vexed Mrs. Denning and Mrs. Afia. And whatever happens today, Cadogan Estates will certainly be addressing with the two operators the question of deliveries. Now, I should say that these deliveries take place infrequently. That wonderful Tutankhamun exhibition last year lasted for 6 months, but there was a certain amount of setting up and taking down that had to take place. But once installed, it was there for 6 months, and there were no more articulated lorries that turned up to deliver goods to the gallery at the rear. It's the rear that causes the problem, not the front. And then there are a number of other exhibitions that take place that they usually last for some weeks and then often some months. So they are infrequent. And when they take place, there are very strict conditions on the planning permission that was granted to the Saatchi Gallery, which dictate when they can take place. And the operators of the premises, in particular Marchfield Investments, ensure that the strict planning requirements for the delivery of these artworks take place only within the allotted timescales. That's from 8 in the morning until 9:45 at night. However, Cadogan Estates insist that everybody should be off-site by 8 o'clock in the evening. And then on Saturdays, it's 8:30 until 4. And on Sundays, 11 until 4. And when it's a large exhibition, there is a whole traffic management team that is in place. Tutankhamun, for example, had 10 traffic marshals ensuring that disruption to residents and obstructions of the highway were kept to an absolute minimum. Where there might be a slight niggle probably relates to Zara. Now, Zara are not a licensed premises, but they are within the curtilage of the barracks. And they have deliveries twice a week. Now, usually, pre-COVID, they took place at the front of the premises and caused no difficulties. However, because of COVID and the facility that the cafe operator now has to have restaurant seating outside on the forecourt, those deliveries for Zara have to take place at the rear at Turks Road. It's one articulated truck. It arrives twice a week, once on Wednesdays and once on Saturdays. And they're straight in and straight out. Now, the takeout that Stephen Medway from Cadogan Estates will take away from this hearing is a promise to investigate measures that can be further put in place in order to ensure that residents are inconvenienced as infrequently as possible. And to that end, he's happy to enter into a dialogue with the residents. Currently, what we do is whenever there is to be a large delivery of artworks, which involves trucks, then residents in the immediate vicinity are alerted so that they know it's going to take place. And Mr. Medway is happy to impress upon the operators the importance of alerting residents farther away. And when I say farther away, I'm talking about Mrs. Denning and Mrs. Afia, who are not as proximate as the many residents that surround the area. So he will undertake, firstly, to ensure that there is a dialogue facilitated between Mrs. Denning and Mrs. Afia and the operators, and to ensure, so far as reasonably practicable, that the operators alert residents as to when deliveries are going to be taking place. And it may be that during the dialogue, other measures can be explored. For example, it's difficult often to time the arrivals of the different articulated lorries, and sometimes stacking occurs. And we can certainly look at the question of whether those trucks that have arrived and for whom there is no room to make their delivery can be held elsewhere and to the minimum of inconvenience. Now, I put forward a sort of skeleton explaining the background to shadow licenses. I needn't go through that. Suffice to say, I volunteered 2 conditions at the end of that advice. They've been amended very slightly, and we are perfectly happy to agree to the 2 amendments. So the additional condition that would be imposed on the license would be this, that no licensable activities shall take place at the premises until the premises license, and then it identifies the 2 premises license numbers, or such numbers subsequently issued for the premises, has been surrendered and is capable of resurrection. And the point about that is that it's unsatisfactory to have 2 licenses in existence at the same time. But there's nothing to prevent the granting of more than 1 license to a set of premises. The point about that condition is that whoever takes on the premises, in the unlikely event of a liquidation, can't operate them until the primary license has either been surrendered or forfeiture proceedings have been commenced. Now, I said I'd take it quickly. I hope I haven't taken it too quickly. I've got Mr. Medway with me, who can deal with any questions that you have. But unless I've got it very wrong, I was hoping to leave it there.
No, that's great. Thank you very much, Mr. Rankin. And it was very helpful for you to address so many of the concerns about the delivery issues, which are the bulk of the 2 objections we've received. So I'm just going to kick off with one question, if I may, and it's probably maybe best to Mr. Medway. How can he ensure that the operators do engage with the residents? What's the kind of the feedback mechanism, the kind of that would ensure that dialogue is happening?
Good morning. Thank you. We would reach out to, obviously I have the details of the 2 of the residents, and actually Sarah we know quite well because she has access to our garden, so I think we'd be able to absolutely reach out to them and invite them to a meeting where we can then discuss their concerns with Saatchi, the operator, and understand how we can implement some extra measures that might mitigate some of their concerns. And I will take that on personally myself.
Thank you. That would be very helpful. Yes, and I do also accept what Mr. Rankin was saying about whether it constitutes a relevant representation regarding the licensing activities, which is obviously what is before us today as a committee. So thank you for that. I have no further questions. Fellow committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant? Councillor Schmetterling?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, thank you to Mr. Medway and Mr. Rankin. First of all, can I just check pronunciation? Is that Mr. Tom O'Malin? Is that correct?
That is correct, sir. That is correct.
Not so familiar with Irish spellings.
That's
although I've learned about Sean and Siobhan a long time ago. Anyway, first of all, I was just curious to clarify your address. Now, all the papers speak about 100 Duke of York Square, obviously the one that's up on the screen too. But when I was doing some background work, I found other addresses for the gallery. One of them is Duke of York's headquarters, and other numbers of Duke of York Square? Perhaps you could clarify that. That's one question, but I'll take one at a time.
Yes, the license, which is the important document that you're seized with, relates to 100 Duke of York Square. So that's the identified address that the two licenses attach to.
So where is Duke of York's headquarters, and why does it appear against the Saatchi Gallery?
It's another name for 100 Duke of York Square, but it's not a separate location.
Ah, okay. That wasn't obvious from anywhere. The second point is regarding this parking issue. I mean, you've obviously addressed it. It was in written representation as well. If Zara can use Turk's Row, why can't deliveries to the gallery, and for that matter to the cafe, use Turk's Row or Franklin's Row? Because the complaint is about all the problems in Sloane Court East.
The gallery does use Turk's Row almost exclusively. Their deliveries go to Turk's Row. Turk's Row is the rear of the premises, the loading bay. So we already use the rear of the premises.
So that means the problems in. So let me ask another way. How do the problems in Sloane Court East arise? Is that too many vehicles at once?
Yes, occasionally, very occasionally, you will have more than one lorry turning up at once. And in those circumstances, both lorries can't be accommodated within the loading bay. And so one lorry has to wait until the head of it is unloaded before it can then enter the loading bay and discharge its goods.
Thank you. Third point is it's kind of been touched upon partly. One of the objectors has your phone number, as it were, or has the gallery's phone number or Cadogan's phone number. Is there any way you can make publicly available to the local residents a phone number to call if there's a problem? Because one of the complaints was that a lorry driver was extremely rude to the resident who requested him to move, or pointed out that he was blocking something.
First point of call, obviously, is the operator, because they're the person that has immediate control over their driver.
Indeed.
But we're one stage removed from that. And we can certainly impress upon our tenants the importance of maintaining good neighbourly connections. And we can certainly take away from this committee meeting your suggestion that telephone numbers be given to residents for the addressing of immediate concern, such as a rude lorry driver, for example. That can be addressed immediately with the residents. We'll also give our telephone number if that complaint receives no satisfactory response.
Mr. Rankin, thanks very much. That sounds good, and it's obviously the right order. First of all, it is the operator who's responsible, not the freeholder in the first instance. So thank you very much. That's my questions for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schmetterling. Councillor Evans, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have one question. Thank you. Will your client have anything in writing with their tenant with some of these duties or conditions that we are imposing?
We already have in place what are called management guidelines. Mm-hmm. Management guidelines are our expectations as to how our tenants will be operating the premises. We can, after this meeting has taken place, we can then sit down and discuss with the operators various other measures that we can put in place, and certainly take with us as additional information the concerns expressed by the members of the committee that they want the residents to be involved in this process.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Councillor Evans. Thank you, Mr. Rankin, for answering all those questions, and Mr. Medway as well. Normally, we would ask the objectors to ask you questions, but I think that you have addressed many of the objectors' issues, and so has Councillor Smetling, Councillor Evans, and myself. So I will now actually turn to Miss Le Mesurier to find out if she has any questions for you, and I know she wants to discuss conditions. So, Miss Le Mesurier, is that all right?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add that both of the existing operators' licences have got the DPS dedicated telephone number condition as it is, and that will be translated across into any grant of these shadow licences. So the DPS, the telephone number condition, is already on the licence, so to speak. Can I just have clarity in relation to the gallery and in relation to the cafe? Which floors do they operate on? I think the gallery you said was basement, first floor and second floor. I wasn't clear on the cafe.
No, gallery is basement, ground and second. The cafe is on the ground.
Just the ground. And is it the entirety? So I wasn't clear from the plans. Is it the entirety of each floor that's licensed or just aspects of the floors?
It's the entirety of the floors, save obviously for the plant.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, so we've already circulated draft conditions and you've said you're agreeable to my altered condition. Perhaps if we do the Saatchi Gallery first of all, and then we'll go on to the cafe. So in relation to the Saatchi Gallery, you are happy with my revised condition, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I just wanted to, sorry, I didn't add it to the draft conditions, but there's just a couple of other points I'd like to run past you in relation to the Saatchi Gallery. On page 2 of the Saatchi Gallery pack, can somebody put that on the screen, please? The main pack, page 2. Thank you. Where it refers to non-standard timings for regulated entertainment and alcohol, would you be agreeable to adding in the word at least one working day prior to the event? So that means that we're not blindsided if you tell us on the Saturday when the council isn't open that the event's going to take place on the Sunday. Would you be agreeable in relation to each non-standard timing to the word working being added? I
will have to take instructions, but I can't see that that would present a difficulty. My concern always with the imposition of additional conditions on a shadow license is that if one does it too much, then it ceases to become a shadow license. It doesn't shadow the primary license.
Yes, I mean, this is more just from a functioning, practical perspective. So if you could take instructions on that point in relation to both non-standard timings. And there are just two other points in relation to the Saatchi Gallery. I know on the Gallery Cafe there is a similar condition, but there isn't one on the gallery. Would you be prepared to add the following condition, which is consumption of alcohol on premises shall cease and the premises shall close to patrons and all patrons shall be off the premises no later than 30 minutes after the end of the permitted hours for the sale by retail of alcohol on the premises. You could take instructions on that.
Thomas, can I ask you to come?
Yes, I'm here.
So, Thomas, those two amendments, one relating to one working day, I imagine that that would present a problem. And then the suggestion that there should be effectively a 30 minutes drinking up period after the end of licensable activities. Do you have any views on that?
On the second one, I'm just concerned if there is an event, for example, at the gallery where alcohol isn't actually being sold, but we're, depending on the wording of the condition, that people have to leave by a certain time. So you could imagine an evening event and it's some sort of reception where everything is being supplied free of charge, and then we're insisting that everyone has to leave by a particular time, although the alcohol isn't being sold. So I think you just need to be careful how that is worded. In theory, however, and certainly the gist of it is it wouldn't present a problem.
So our primary position then is, please, can we have a shadow license which mirrors exactly that which is there already? Because if you have two licenses with different conditions, then confusion could.
There is that, but obviously we can obviously we're not seeking to radically change the operator's license, but obviously we can discuss updating conditions which might need to be tweaked. So you've obviously commented on. So sorry, were you happy with the working day one first of all?
Yes,
you're happy with the working day. That's fine. But
Miss Lindsay, can I just jump in here about the drinking up one? Just looking at the hours on the gallery, the hours premises are open to the public. I mean, I think that kind of covers the concern that Mr. Amelian was saying. Perhaps.
Sorry, Chair. Sorry, Chair. It's Heidi Titcombe. Can I just jump in here just to assist? If you look at the Saatchi Gallery one, if you look at the non-standard timings, that requirement is there. If you look on page, that's it. If you stop there and if you look at the non-standard timing, you've got the 30-minute drinking up there. But so it only applies to non-standard timing. It should apply to the whole license, so that's why it's there. And in relation to the Gallery Cafe, I'll just check the license. They do have the 30-minute drinking up. It's condition 8 on the license, so that you're not adding any condition there, you're simply updating it to the present wording, which is normally fairly standard. So if you see there, condition 8.
Understood. So that's fine about the cafe. So back to the gallery, I suppose that's...
So basically, it is on the licenses already. It wouldn't be. It's not a full blown change.
Well, in that case, it's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, and then just one.
Sorry, can I just clarify that? Sorry, it's not on the gallery license. It's on the cafe license.
It is on the gallery license.
Standard time.
It is
on the gallery license
for the non-standard timing events.
Yeah, on non-standard timing, but it's not on the standard timing.
Correct.
There's no condition 8 on the gallery license.
Correct.
I just want to get this clear now, because otherwise we go into our closed session and then we end up going backwards and forwards about.
That's correct. There is on the gallery cafe.
Yes.
But on the Saatchi Gallery, there isn't that condition. It just relates to the non-standard timings, but we're trying to bring it across the whole license, which Mr. Amelian has kindly agreed that's fine.
Yeah, so you're happy with another condition, like on the cafe? Yes, Mr. Amelian. Yeah.
Yes, we are, to be absolutely clear.
Great. Thank you.
One last amendment on the gallery. Condition 10, existing condition 10 on the operator's license is an old version of the CCTV license condition. Would you be willing to replace that with our current CCTV condition? I can read it out to you if you like.
No, it's fine. We'd be happy with the updated CCTV.
So you're happy? Okay, that's brilliant. Mr. Rankin, are you happy with that?
Perfect.
Okay, so just to conclude, Saatchi Gallery, you're happy with my revised condition, which amended your suggested condition. You're happy adding the consumption and drinking up condition. You're happy having the updated CCTV condition, and you're happy adding in working day to the non-standard timings.
Yes, happy with all of those.
Lovely. Right, moving on to the cafe application. Presumably you're happy with me tweaking your suggested condition as before.
Yes.
Can existing condition 8, which we were just discussing just now, we'd just like to tweak it so that it reads, consumption of alcohol on the premises shall cease and the premises shall close to patrons, and all patrons shall be off the premises no later than 30 minutes after the end of the permitted hours for the sale by retail of alcohol on the premises. Are you okay with that being amended to that so it is the same as the Saatchi Gallery?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. And the last one, CCTV, can we obviously update that to our model standard current condition, please?
And
Condition 16.
happy with that too.
Perfect. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much for going through that. I just want to check with licensing officers if they have anything else they wish to add.
Nothing from me, Chair.
Yep. And can I just double check with the applicant if there's anything else you wish to say here?
No, thank
No
you.
summing up, though. No?
No, thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I think we have enough information now, and we will go into closed session now to discuss this, and the decision will be, a summary decision will be issued within 5 working days and a full decision as soon as possible thereafter. So thank you very much for attending. This hearing is now closed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.